There are so many amazing and dangerous things Mother Nature throws at us from time to time, but not all of them have we been able to experience or at least capture on camera. Even though no one would wish to be a victim of some of these deadly natural occurring phenomena, they still make a great sight when experienced. Sometimes they even remind us of how much an impact our seemingly little daily choices make in our universe. From a continent splitting in two, a great smog that killed over 1,200 people, greenhouse explosions, we've got the footage to fill you in on some of the details. Today, we'll show you the most dangerous natural phenomena ever recorded on camera. But before we get started, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe and click the notification bell for more such amazing content. Quicksand. Initiating with an immensely important public service message. Quicksand is quite a dangerous natural occurrence, and you should avoid playing around with it. Even though it's quite a common phenomenon we're all pretty familiar with, there's not much information available about its distinctive properties and bizarre nature. Science still doesn't understand how this sinking sand comes to being. As opposed to popular belief, you can't sink in the quicksand, so no need to fear for your life in case you end up stuck in it. You won't be swallowed whole by the earth. The sand won't consume you entirely. It's no doubt quite difficult to get out of quicksand once you're in it, but the movies tend to exaggerate its deadliness a tad bit. Recent scientific studies have shown that it's physically not possible for a person to sink entirely into quicksand or drown in it. Humans tend to float in this muddy mess. This precise mixture of sand, clay and salt water tends to thicken while it rests, but when exposed to higher stress, it immediately liquefies. That's probably why you initially sink into it, because of your weight. This means the more you move, the more you'll sink. Humans don't have the right density to sink in quicksand, and you need to weigh a lot to drown in this. If you ever get stuck in it, try wiggling your legs a little bit. This will make place for water to move in and liquefy it. Africa splitting in two. The splitting of the Earth's landmass to form new continents is in fact nothing new in the Earth's donkey years history, at least according to some scientists who believe that 350 million years ago, Europe, Antarctica, Asia, North America, South America, Africa and Oceania were actually just one landmass called Pangaea. Until it started breaking apart an estimated 175 million years ago to form the 7 continents we now have on the world map. Looking at how Africa and South America may seem to fit like two puzzle pieces is also part of the reason why this theory exists. Well, even though you and I weren't present when nature was doing the land sharing, we might just be in for some of the action to see how it may have happened when it's about to split Africa into 2 continents. A large crack suddenly appears in Narok County, Kenya, and the crack has been getting bigger and bigger as the country continues to experience heavy rainfall and purported earthquakes in the newly forming tectonic plate boundary. However, the main reason for the sudden split and the rifting is a bit complicated. A scientist couldn't agree even though they've been aware of its occurrence for quite a while now. Some believe it's due to the superplume upwelling along the continent's eastern edge burning a hole in the Earth's crust. In contrast, others think it's due to the constant rainfall and flooding in the region that washed away the deep layers of the loose volcanic ash deposited by previous volcanic eruptions. Whatever the true cause may be, we're just amazed by the fact that we might just be gifted an 8th continent soon. Giant sinkholes. The ground beneath our feet, our highways and our cities appears to be very sturdy. But on rare occasions, that solid ground can suddenly collapse into a giant sinkhole, sucking virtually anything from nearby cars, people, or sometimes even entire buildings. In 2010, an enormous sinkhole suddenly appeared in the middle of a Guatemalan neighborhood and swallowed a 3-story building above it. From the air, the giant Guatemalan city sinkhole appears so perfectly round and deep that photos of it almost look doctored. The Guatemalan city sinkhole was estimated to be 60 feet wide and 300 feet deep, which appears to have been triggered by the deluge from the tropical storm. Most sinkholes happen slowly over time and only occur when bedrock made of limestone or other carbonate rock is eaten away by acidic groundwater or a surge of pressure caused by heavy rain. Did you know, recently China announced a major new discovery of 49 massive sinkholes that were previously unknown, representing the highest natural density of the phenomenon in the world. China is also home to one of the largest sinkholes known to mankind. It's called Heavenly Pit, which is reportedly over 2,000 feet wide and almost 2,200 feet deep. That's a long way down. Nika Crystal Cave. The most astonishing places in the world are incidentally also some of the most dangerous. How weirdly cool is that? The Nicas Cave that's 1,000 feet or 105 meters beneath a mountain in Nica, Mexico. This underground cave is covered by numerous milky white crystals, formed from volcanic minerals and water that crystallized as the temperatures in the cave changed over several years. Today, the crystals are large enough for adults to walk over. The crystal pillars are 40 feet or 12 meters high and weigh 55 tons. Just hold on for a minute. If you're planning to visit with your selfie stick, just under the crystals there's a magma chamber, meaning the temperatures can easily get to 113 Fahrenheit or 45 degrees Celsius. Humidity can also reach 99%. The air then becomes so saturated that sweat can drip from your body to cool you down. This means in 10 minutes you might be risking heat stroke, heart failure, or death. Scientists have to wear a crystal suit that has chilled air. They can only be underneath in the cave for an hour max. Boiling lake. Let's head over to Dominicas, where there's a boiling lake in Montuapitin National Park, where there's a flooded hole on the earth filled with boiling water from the Earth's surface. The lake emits steam and volcanic gases from the magma chamber that's beneath it. The water boils to 197 degrees Fahrenheit or 92 degrees Celsius. If you were to enter these waters, you'd be poached like an egg. Lake Natron. If you're familiar with Greek mythology, Lake Natron might seem like the real-life embodiment of Medusa. What makes this lake so unique, apart from its red color, is the presence of massive amounts of calcium carbonate. What does it do? Well, birds which fly over the lake or drink from it get turned into solid stone. They essentially get completely dehydrated and get saturated with minerals and salts. It's not dangerous just for birds, but also for humans as well. A high concentration of calcium carbonate can cause your skin to burn upon touching, so stay clear and far away. Danukil Depression. Danukil Depression, with its larger-than-life cinematic landscape in northwest Ethiopia, looks nothing like a radioactive wasteland with its neon yellow craters and very deep green waters. But don't be fooled by the pretty colors. This volcanic plate can kill you. The Danukil Depression is located at the junction of three mobile tectonic plates whose movements cause earthquakes threatening to swallow unsuspecting tourists. The cracks in the plates cough up very poisonous sulfur and chlorine gases that have the foul smell of rotting eggs. The movement of tectonic plates also leads to the formation of hot springs filled with scalding waters heated by molten magma. It's this heating by molten magma that creates all the beautiful multicolored formations of crusts and crystal deposits. Please note that as beautiful as it is, you can't swim in there. It's 226 degrees Fahrenheit or 108 degrees Celsius. The depression also has two active volcanoes, Erta Ala, a lava lake bubbling at the summit, and once in a while it overflows and kills anything in its path. Devastating locust plagues. You may have read the biblical account of how the Egyptians were plagued by swarms of locusts and some other pests. Well, it looks like these desert locust guys haven't changed their antics to date, as they're now revered as the world's most devastating pest. And why not? From Kenya, Ethiopia to Yemen and northern India, these armies of tiny insects swarming together in their trillions are known to devour thousands of square meters of precious crops within minutes, wreaking havoc on people's means of survival in these regions. According to scientists, a swarm of about a third of a square mile can eat what it'll take 35,000 people to eat in one day. Imagine that appetite. One question that begs to be asked is how and when do these desert locusts gather in their trillions before carrying out the attacks? Well, the truth is they don't exactly call a meeting and make strategies. Swarms form during the peak of their breeding season. As they breed, their population becomes crowded. When that happens, there's less food to go around. The food shortage makes them go all into a frenzy, leading to migration and invasion of people's farms, which sometimes could lead to famine and economic instability. Insane Beijing sandstorm. Beijing was hit by an incredibly powerful sand blizzard so dense it left entire cities buried under dust and even caused some fatalities by suffocating people. It's really not possible to inhale properly or even keep your eyes open if you're outside in such a sandstorm. These storms are pretty dangerous as sand whips around at super speed, hitting every orifice in your body. But there's more. With the extreme sand and wind comes rocks, stones, and even other things like trash and debris that have been picked up along the way. The winds in these storms can reach up to 70 miles an hour, which means that if you get hit by a rock, you could actually die. There was no breaking point in this storm that occurred in Beijing. The storm got super dense and the particles rose so high that the people on the ground couldn't see the top of most buildings in the city. Commuters had to wear improvised headgear to protect themselves from getting injured. Many businesses had to shut down, and by the end of the storm, around 341 people were reported missing or dead. Crazy, right? Smoke that stayed for 6 months. Wildfires caused billions of dollars in damages. They also upset the daily life of millions of people by forcing them to leave their homes and their entire lives behind in the wake of the fire. Once it picks up momentum, it's very hard to stop the spread of such a fire. Most of us have heard about the crazy wildfires that burned through Australia from June 2019 to May 2020. Around 46 million acres were lost to this disaster and an estimated $103 billion in damages. Because of the scale and the length of the 2020 Australian wildfires, it had other far-reaching repercussions on the environment. One thing which scientists noticed was the amount of smoke it produced and pushed into the atmosphere. It in fact produced a record-breaking amount of smoke for any bushfire to date. The smoke managed to circumnavigate the entire world by leaving the Australian coast from the east and returning back to the continent from the west. This was done in just 2 weeks, which is incredibly fast. Hopefully Australia is better prepared to tackle any future wildfire outbreaks that might happen. If you have to choose between one natural events, which ones seem the most terrifying to you? Let us know in the comments, and while you're at it, be sure to hit like, share and subscribe. Catch you next time.